On today's daily download, I connected with Creator this morning and asked, what do you want people to know? When I wrote my book, The Divine Shift, the conversation worked in the same way. So the answer I'm getting is that Creator's love for you is so big that it would be impossible to put it into words. So Creator does things like creates art in the sky, like rainbows, aurora borealis, and gave us beautiful nature, waterfalls, beautiful moons rippling in the water. All of creation, the animals, the plants, and this is Creator's very small way of saying, I love you. Now, what's happening in our world? What's happening as we notice a lot of systems fall apart? We see Russell Brand and Matt Damon, David Suzuki on the news, and they're all talking about the same thing, that we want to embrace our freedom and sovereignty. We want to embrace our eagle spirit and return to our birthright of freedom to be at one with all of nature, including the cosmos. So what's happening is that we're moving out of our dualistic mind. You see, Creator basically breathed out and we became fractals. Now what's happened is we're all being called home. We've gone far beyond the limits of even recognizing where we came from. Our amnesia had become so great that we lost our connection with the earth and the old ways. So now we're all being called back into oneness. And what does that mean? That means that our masculine and feminine are coming together into oneness. So again, it's very difficult to really share the breadths of some of these downloads that I get, because we are so loved, and the fact that we are being called home right now is a cause to dance for joy in every moment. What is in store for us coming in the human body, not heaven as some distant place that we're going to visit one day and it will be perfect? Yes, our souls carry on through eternity, but this is about embodying this heaven on earth now, and heaven has never been closer. Heaven has never been more within our reality than it is right now. And so what do we do to get there? Well, there's no there. There's only now. And that moment of now exists in our hearts, in the infinite space of our hearts. So how do we get to heaven? We open gates to heaven. There's, in Christianity, there's a saying that says Jesus knocks, but the handle's on the inside. So, Creator wants a relationship with each one of us, but we have to open the door. And what do we get when we open that door? Luminosity, love, connection, home. We get home. And home is a place that we've overinflated in our decor and in our monetization and commoditization of the earth. We're so out of touch with what that really means in the spiritual world. And what that means is home is a temple. Home is a space in our heart that we hold for our birthright of love. Being love. We're not in relationship. As Charles Eisenstein said in Sacred Economics, we are relationship.
Right. And this has nothing to do with the Bible, except now I'm going to bring that into it. I was talking before about how we're examining the prophecies, and in Revelations, if you take another look at that, especially if you look at the oldest King James version you can get your hands on, this crystal here that I would like you to take a really close look at. Okay, now what it says there is, it says that the temple is coming, and the temple's coming from the sky, and that this will put an end to the need for any other temples. And it even says it will put an end for the need for God, which is a bit weird. But I think in translation, again, look at the construction of this crystal spaceship in Revelations. It's made of amethyst. It's made of all number of crystals. Now,
So
what you were saying, just hang
Yeah,
on, is that
okay.
you were saying that the temple, that we are the temple.
Yeah.
And in fact, that's what it says. But it also connects us with the information in the crystal. And when you began speaking, you said that you were speaking from Creator, and part of that came through scrying with this crystal, did it not? Looking into this crystal?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, and I should know when she's on a roll with something, so just let her go. Very.
Or we
a
also
lot.
have this other thing, which we had an arrangement for, which is when I start staring into the camera like a deer in the headlight, she just goes, "Shut your pie hole."
Can you imagine me saying something like that to her? So, scrying. I just learned that term today. Really, all I can tell you about this crystal, crystals are sacred and they're part of the earth, and we are, in essence, of the same material. We have a crystal in nature, and right now our vibration is very dense, and we're not near translucent. And I guess that would be the thing that I'd like to address to you is in this transformation process of this homecoming, we are being put in this pressure cooker, this cosmic vice grip, as the Hathors call it, with all these magnetic shifts. And what are those magnetic shifts? Well, the sun's magnetic field is inversing. And guess what? That's affecting us greatly. And as we are inversing ourselves, we are the magnetic shift, we are the pole shift. So that will continue. So just about this crystal, well, so what happens is when we open our hearts in this infinite space called home, our temple is our home, and in every moment that we show up, it's sacred, right? So we become at one with everything, and so when we look into objects of the earth and our hearts are open and our intuition's activated, we can see things. We can all do it. And we're learning these gifts that we have. And by the way, these gifts, Lalo and I were talking this morning, we were talking about how this activation, if you saw my December download, I talked about this attunement coming up right after Christmas. Well, what actually is happening, it's widespread all over the earth. So all the sacred sites, all the ley lines, all the sacred geometry, everything is getting lit up. So we are, as well as remembering who we are being, how do I say this? We're coming into a mystical union with other dimensions and other beings. So, for example, in Egypt, so memories stored in stone and in bone. Well, this activation in the ancient temples such as Egypt would actually be maybe waking up isn't the right word, but activating those memories in stone and bone so that we can reconnect with those memories and those ancient teachings, because that's really what's needed to get us through this next part of our evolution. A return to the earth, a return to the old ways. And to say a return to the earth is really an understatement. A good shaman friend of mine said, whatever we honor, we're in harmony with. Well, folks, we haven't been honoring the earth, and we're really out of harmony with her. So what I was shown is in this divine healing, those temples that will be activated will be energized in a sense, but also those areas of the earth that have been dishonored will be cleansed. They must be cleansed. They must be healed. In the same way, our hearts must be healed. And that's why there's so much coming up right now about organizations, false prophets, corporatocracy, everything you can possibly imagine must be brought up for acknowledgement, for transparency, and for healing. And this is the only way to move ahead, and that's why we are in a purifying stage. It's happening in our bodies right now. Whatever we are not walking our path of truth on, and we all know what those things are. It's a really challenging time right now for a lot of people. And we just must be really gentle with ourselves and remember to forgive. Because you see, if we hold judgment against one another or against ourselves, we can't, like Mother Teresa says, we can't be loving ourselves. And if we're not loving ourselves, our hearts aren't open, and Creator can't bring that miracle to us. So the path to all this, in many ways, is forgiveness, is the path to this peace. We all want peace. We all want war to stop. We want to see beautiful children in other countries stop starving, while people here in North America throw crap in the garburator. I mean, there's so many things that have just wrongdoings from dualistic thinking. More for me is less for you. That's what that consciousness has created. So the good news is that we are moving out of duality. How are we doing that? Because the masculine and feminine are now coming into balance. We are becoming whole. And lots of good stuff is on the way. Okay. So, you have more to say on this subject, don't you?
No.
All right, so that's a long daily download, but hope I gave you a little more info, and feel free to check in, and I'll try and keep the flow coming as it happens. Bless you.
I am here, but that's just to peer over the machine, as you've seen me do so many times before. And I have my usual message. Of course, I'm not really Lalo. I am +1 News and Review. Love yourself.